Welcome back to Fast Track. I'm Sarah Cometa.
And I'm Paul Sliker. Now let's go to Veronica Appleton for the latest in Washington in this week's political update.
Recently, the FBI illegally collected over 2,000 U.S. telephone call records between 2002 and 2006 to promote terrorism emergencies that did not exist. The FBI encouraged phone companies to provide records to comply with the Internal Bureau memos and interviews, which resulted in a technical violation of the law. Phone record searches ended in November 2006, but the case is still under current investigation. This week, former Republican Senator Scott Brown won the Massachusetts U.S. Senate seat, which was formerly held by liberal Democrat Ted Kennedy. His opponent, Attorney General Martha Coakley, lost by a 5% lead. This election marked the 38th year for a Republican to be voted into the 41st Senate seat. But the winning may have a negative effect on the Obama administration health care plan, which needed all 60 Democratic seats in the Senate to pass the health care bill. Now, Brown adds to the Republican presence with a 41-seat total. This week, President Obama will visit Fairfax County School in Virginia to announce plans in releasing the $1.35 billion fund promised in the 2008 election for the Race to the Top education program. Funding is said to be used in implementing good educational programs, student achievement, and increased academics in failing schools. The first deadline for states to compete for funding has passed, but those interested can apply for the second deadline in June. States Against Competition for the federal money says the agenda is an intrusion on local educational prerogatives. The decision for this month's deadline is said to be available in April.
A week ago, Google said it was prepared to shut down its Chinese language search engine. Now, it's putting its mobile phone business in China on hold. John Voss joins us from Beijing with more.
Google insists it's business as usual at its corporate headquarters in Beijing, but now a week into a standoff with the Chinese government comes the first real fallout. The internet giant, along with Samsung and Motorola, have announced they're delaying indefinitely the launch of 2 new cell phones which run Google software known as Android. One source says the reason for the postponement, the current uncertainty over Google's future. Google threatened last week to close down its operation in China because of cyber attacks on the Gmail accounts of human rights activists, as well as the larger issue of self-censorship. But closing up shop could be potentially costly. China's internet market is huge, almost 400 million users, but almost twice as many people own cell phones. If Google's China search engine is offline, that could interfere with the operation of Google phones. Still, analysts say Google, a company with "Don't be evil" as a motto, may have had no choice.
Google has its reputation at stake. Not only is Google committed to the free flow of information, but even more importantly, is the security of its customers' information.
Researchers from Toronto University's Munk Centre, who last year uncovered GhostNet, a global spy web mostly controlled from China and first detected in computers in the office of the Dalai Lama, say there are similarities in execution with the Google cyber attacks.
Basically what they did was locate key people at Google and start sending them targeted emails and instant messages, basically with some kind of lure to get them to click on a bad link.
The Chinese government would not confirm if Google has asked for talks over continuing to operate its search engine here. One of the problems for Google in China, according to those who once worked here, is that the Chinese government never provided a list of banned topics, unlike in Germany, for instance, where Nazi-related information is censored. Analysts believe that when Google sits down and talks to officials here in Beijing, the internet company might push to move away from a self-censorship approach and ask for an open declaration of all topics and issues which are off-limits to China's communists. Right now that seems unlikely, which means the world's most popular search engine and the world's biggest internet market could be heading for irreconcilable differences. John Voss, CNN Beijing.
These days, it seems like there's an iPhone app for everything, and now there's an app that lets you pay your bar tab from your car. Let's take a look.
Yeah, okay. Another one, same round.
Same orders.
There you go, tab's open.
Same charge.
$2, brother.
This time you're just paying the bartender by phone.
If you forget to close your tab, you can close it in your car on the way home, in your cab, or that's why I think it's a good system.
Lately, when Seth Nader's not mixing drinks at Kung Fu Saloon, he's spilling everything he knows about tabbed out.
You don't have to worry about waiting in line, just roll out on your walk out. Yeah, it's cool.
The Austin-invented iPhone app allows patrons to open, review, and pay their tabs all in a matter of clicks.
If you have people who love to put drinks on your tab, you can keep an eye on it and not have to worry about that.
Nader's Bar is one of a dozen in the capital city already participating in the program. Soon it will also be available for Droids and Blackberries. The makers hope to go nationwide within the year.
We take plastic out of the equation, so there's a security benefit to that, in that you don't have it sitting behind, a bar for multiple hours at a time, or even leave in your pocket to go into hands of people that you don't know.
For me personally, I don't think I'd go with that route, just because I wouldn't trust myself for something that easy where I can just be like, here you go.
You can look at your tab the whole time, and you can actually close it from your phone and tip on your phone.
This free app cuts down on lines. Nader jokes it gives him more time to focus on those really regular, thirsty, big tippers.
It makes it faster for you to order drinks and easier. Everything flows better.
But don't think he's not making his money if you sneak out without saying goodbye.
You're not allowed to tip less than 20%, the way it's set up, which is good for me, just the bartender.
Now let's take a look at an all-too prevalent problem, the abuse of painkillers.
They are called opioids, a form of narcotics used to treat pain. And according to a group of pain management specialists, doctors are increasingly prescribing these addictive drugs like Vicodin and oxycodone to patients. The results of their study are published in the Annals of Internal Medicine. The study says as long-term opioid therapy becomes more common, deaths associated with these drugs are also increasing. Researchers studied more than 9,900 adults who were on opioid prescriptions for chronic pain problems. Those problems included back or neck pain, headache, jaw pain, arthritis, and menstrual cramps. 51 of those patients had one or more overdose events during follow-up. 6 of those events were fatal. An overdose is when a person takes a drug in amounts greater than what is recommended. Most overdoses are considered harmful and dangerous because they can result in the death of a patient. Even those on low doses of opioids are at risk. Doctors who worked on the study noted although the drugs do provide a benefit, there needs to be close medical supervision of patients receiving long-term opioid therapy, no matter how potent the patient's dose. For today's Health Minute, I'm Susan Hendricks.
If you are starting to drag a little bit in the next few days, you will soon know why. Here's a story on the most sluggish day of the year, Blue Monday.
Feel like everything is just dragging by? Chances are you're not alone, because on the third Monday of every January, like today, it's known as Blue Monday.
Today is the most depressing day of the year.
Believe it or not, a few years ago, a psychologist actually came up with this formula for figuring out the worst day for after Christmas sadness. Phoenix resident Mark Campisi has never heard of it before and doesn't completely buy into it either.
I would say that's another psychologist who had taken the obvious and put a spin on it to make them appear much smarter than they really are.
Okay, it's probably not the most accurate math equation, but it figures in several different factors, including the weather, time since Christmas, failed New Year's resolutions, holiday bills, and low motivation.
It's a hard time for a lot of people out there. A lot of my friends are really struggling.
Carl Momberger lives in Phoenix, but is from the East Coast. He doesn't think the theory is perfect either, but does agree with some of it, especially the weather part.
I'm from Baltimore. It affects a lot of people hardcore. And yeah, I think in typical, people go into a hibernation of their feelings typically.
When we come back, we'll see how a legendary fictional character is impacting tourism.
And relive the week in Purdue sports. This is Fast Track.
Todos son bienvenidos. The Latino Cultural Center was established to help promote and enhance understanding of the Latino culture through history and growth. Students and faculty can come and learn about the culture using resources provided by the LCC, such as an ITAP computer lab, a library, study rooms, and lounge areas. The LCC also offers a variety of programs such as Spanish conversation tables, internships, and a Latino leadership retreat. For more information about the LCC, you can visit the website at purdue.edu/LCC, or you can stop by the center located at 6th and Russell.